Hi friends, welcome to the Next.js tutorial. In this tutorial, we will be seeing what is Next.js and what are the different type of rendering. So let's get started. So the Next.js is a React framework. It's for building a full stack web application. So the React is actually a library. If you want to do router, we have to install a dependency. So here we have it has its own main feature. So one is routing. It's actually no need of installing a dependency here. For here they have follow a files system based router. So in which we have to create a folder. That folder it makes routing, it perform routing. So if you just go to the app router and we just create a folder under this app, you can make it route. So we will be seeing in upcoming series. Here we have a dongle. If you want to work with a page router, you can click and use with a page router, and if you want to use app router, you can click and use this app router. So page router is a traditional way of routing system. So after the Next.js 13 version, they are using a app router. So here, so the routing is all about this. And if you go for a rendering, so we have various type of rendering. So let's see one by one. So let's zoom it. So here, client side rendering, server side rendering, static site generation, incremental site regeneration. So first of all, we will be seeing client side rendering. Client side rendering is all about when the user sending a request to the server respond with a blank html with js bundle. Once it's go to the client side, it process what to load with that javascript bundle. And once it's been loaded, we can able to see the visibility of that particular page. So all the loading is happening in the client browser. So if you want to fetch data, no need of going to the server. We have to fetch data in the browser itself by using a library called client side library. We call it as a Axios, or you can use fetch using a use effect. So fetch all the data in the client side library. So everything is loaded. For initial loading time is very slow, but next loading, it will be very fast. So this is all about the client side rendering. It's a React is one of the best example of client side rendering. So the server side rendering, there is no need of use effect or something like of Axios or something. No need of fetching any data in the client side. Everything, if a user is sending request to the server will load or pre-render everything in the server side. It will respond with the full HTML. So it display to the client. So here we are not using any of the client side library like so Axios or something. We not use effect, we will not use. We are directly fetching from the server. The server will respond for each request. It will serve on the each request, which means if I have a 10 user, if the 10 user is requesting the server, it load for each user, for the 10 user. Then the response will go to the each of this user. This is a main disadvantage of the server sites rendering. So the static site generation, in the sense, if you are make building a blog website for someone, so that time that file will be static, that content will not change. So that time we will be using a static site generation. When a user requesting the server process, and we have to build it. That build mm, uh, goes to this, and in the form of static HTML, it's stored in the content delivery network where we can catch the data and the responses go to the client. So for the next request, when it goes to it will not go to the server, it will go to the CDN and fetch whatever the content in the CDN, uh, and respond to the client. So if you want to make some changes in the static file, we have to go to the server. The server will rebuild that entire process, and it responds with the full HTML. So that HTML is stored in the CDN. The next, the client will, as usual, request to the CDN and take the content from the CDN, and response will go to the client. So this way uh, the static site generation works. Then we will be seeing incremental site regeneration, in which when the user this is a advantage of SSG. So whenever the user request sending a request to the server and build process is completed and it's sent to the static HTML page, and as usual it's stored in the CDN content delivery network. So if my page want to update for some time, for about 1 hour or something, which is 5 minutes later, my site has to be updated. That time we will be using a incremental site regeneration. Here we have to mention the validation time. So uh, and once we have settled the revalidation, our site data content will get updated for that particular interval. So no need of sending a full build. So for the particular time, we will get a request and we will be getting a response. This is all about the incremental site regeneration. So first we have seen client side rendering is all about the request is going to the server. The server will respond with a blank HTML plus JavaScript. All it is rendered in the client side. So we have to fetch the data by using a client side library called Axios or something use effect we will be using to fetch the data. So here the server side centering, we are not using any of the use effect. So it's straight away it's getting all the content from the server, and server do all the rendering process and it responds with the full HTML. Initial loading time will be very fast. So for the SEO, it is very good. SEO is good. And here next we will be seeing SSG, static site generation. Whenever we have a static file, that time we will be going for static site generation. We will be using a CDN for that. Next, incremental site regeneration. It is the advantage of the above. So we can this is all about this. We have a static file, and plus the validation we will be giving for the particular interval of time that my site has to update. That time we will be using a incremental site regeneration. So this is all about the rendering. So servers client side rendering, server side rendering, static site generation, and incremental site regeneration. Here we have a client and the server component. Here the server component is actually the server all in Next.js is all about the server component. If you want to make use of the client component, we have to use client directive in the top of the component file. So we have to use client at the top of the file. You have to use that directive to work with the client. So default Next.js has a servers component. If you want to make it a client component, for example, if you want to use a use effect or use state or something use hook we want to use, and for event listener, like that, if you want to use that time, we will be using a use client directly we have to use at every page. So the next, the data fetching is all about the fetching data in the server component. mm, if you want to use async, or if you want to use uh, a if you want to fetch the data with async or await in the server component. Next, we will be we have a feature called styling. The styling is all about the CSS module, and the Tailwind it supported the Tailwind CSS. The optimization, we have a image font optimization to improve our application. Next, we have a feature called TypeScript. It supported the TypeScript, and also it supported the type checker. So thank you.